Hello, I always want to say good morning, but it is not morning. It is like almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm not entirely sure what I feel like doing, but I do want to use some of these guys. These guys are the Reserve bundle from Shine by St. And then I have these two multi-chromes from them too. I'm going to start by priming my eyes, and I'm going to use the Urban Decay eyeshadow primer potion in the color Eden. So I'm going to take the ColourPop Yes Please palette, which looks like that. I'm going to start with that orange, and then I'm going to use that one in my outer corner. I'm going to take that lighter orange all the way across my crease. Okay, and then I'm going to take this little smaller tapered blending brush with that darker orange I just showed you, and I'm going to place that kind of in my outer corner. I'm going to take it onto the outer little bit of my lid too, not just the corner, and I'm just going to blend that. Take a little bit more of it. I'm going to wiggle it right into my inner corner here too. Just kind of ever so slightly bringing it up, almost at an angle, like I'm going kind of this way, angling those darker bits into the inner part of my eye. I'm not connecting that orange though at the top, I'm just leaving that hole right there. One thing that's kind of annoying about ColourPop shadows is sometimes they can almost like blend too easily, so they almost blend away into nothing, which can be frustrating. I'm going to take some glitter primer as always, and I'm going to place that right above my natural crease and then all over my lid. Well, all of that middle section of my lid, not the whole lid. And then just kind of tapping it out at the edges so I get like a little bit of a blend with the primer. It's Reserve number 7 from Shine by SD. And I'm going to take it with my finger because I know that really sparkly shadows like this often don't work great with a brush, because like these ones, especially the Reserve bundle ones, are really textured in a fun way and like flaky and sparkly, so they don't really pick up great on a brush, which doesn't bother me because I use my finger for a lot of shimmers anyway. Then I'm just placing that all on top of where I put that primer, and I barely touch those shadows. I like just barely graze them with my fingertip, and you get this much sparkle from them. They're so beautiful. Last night I put all 7 of them on my eyes. I did 2 different looks on my eyes. I just kind of slapped them all on, and they still look beautiful even with like little to no thought put into my technique. I'm gonna just take a clean fluffy blending brush and just kind of brush over those just to blend that glitter out a little bit. These shadows are not glitter. I just keep calling them that because they're so sparkly. I was happy to buy from this brand because I think it's a one-woman operation in Halifax. I'm going to take that smaller tapered brush again, back on that darker orange from the ColourPop palette, and just kind of take a little bit more and blend just at the seams of where these colors meet to get a little softer of a blend. The cool thing with sparkly shadows like that is they pretty much do the work for you. Like I barely had to do anything to get it to look beautiful. And I did an experiment last night with them, and I put just a regular primer on one eye and glitter primer on the other eye, and it stuck fine to both sides. The glitter primer looked prettier. You got like a more opaque coverage of the shimmer, but it still looked fine on the regular primer. I'm gonna take my NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer. I use the shade Vanilla, and I'm going to take it on this flat concealer brush. I'm just going to put some down in that inner part of my eye, a little bit on the outer edges. I like to place it with this brush because it doesn't give you such a like crazy heavy application, because this concealer has a pretty decent coverage. It's a little heavier than I normally go for. With a lighter application of it, it looks really pretty. And it's not obscenely matte, it's just like they say it is, a soft matte. And then I'm just taking this like more densely packed little brush to blend it out. If you want a better coverage from your concealer or your foundation, either one, instead of blending how I'm blending right now and kind of blending a little harder, when you get to spots where you want a little more coverage, like for my under eye, I just kind of stamp my brush in those areas to get a little more coverage, because then your product's not moving around as much. It's just kind of pressing into your skin. Taking my loose powder and lightly, very lightly setting those areas that I concealed. I don't always set this concealer, but I'm setting it today because I'm going to put a powder blush on top, and those blushes are pretty pigmented, I learned from the yellow, so I don't want to use that orange blush and then have it go crazy and stick, because if you're using a powder blush on top of a concealer, which is obviously a cream, you're a little more likely to get those hot spots that I've mentioned before, where you get like a solid spot of pigment that you can't really blend out. So to avoid that, just lightly dust my face with powder where I had that concealer. I'm going to take that same tapered blending brush I used the darker orange with to grab the darker orange again, and I'm going to run that along my lower lash line right into my inner corner, because this isn't a super dark color, so it's not going to close my eyes off too much. It's really only like dark browns and blacks and stuff that'll do that to you. Just going to wing out the edges a little bit, just a teeny bit, just like that. I did that with no extra product on my brush. I just kind of blended the shadow that I had already placed in that shape. Just doing small little tugging motions to get that little bit of a wing shape, just really subtly. And again, we'll blend that right into the inner corner and over top of my little eye crease. And then that inner corner of the halo eye is going to connect with the lower lash line to make it a little more cohesive. I'm going to take Reserve number 2 from the Reserve bundle from Shine by SD and put that in my inner corner. These are so sparkly and pretty. Well, now I think I'm going to let's do my blush and stuff. I'll do my brows last because no one cares to watch that. Well, I'm going to take Contortion from the Likely Makeup Clown Blush palette. I'm sure you can all guess that I'm going to go fairly heavy-handed with this, because I always go heavy-handed with my blush. I'm gonna take one dip. I don't know if you can see that, but there's like a ton of pigment on that brush. I'm gonna tap it off a little bit. Let's do an across. Instead of doing my blush up here like I often do, I'm gonna focus it in here, which makes you almost look like, gives you that like anime, like blushy kind of look, except it's gonna be with orange, which is gonna be fun, I think. So I'll just kind of wiggle it in here and take it right up the bridge of my nose and kind of blend it almost up to my under eye where I put that orange ColourPop shadow. I'm gonna blush right to the tip of my nose too, actually. Oh, I kind of love how that orange is coming off on my skin tone. It looks kind of pretty. Blend it right into my dark circles. It always reminds me of in Willy Wonka when Violet starts turning blue. She kind of starts turning blue right in the middle of her face. That's always what this reminds me of. This is the CoverFx monochromatic blush duo. This one's in Warm Honey. I'm going to take the shimmery side on the same blush brush that I took Contortion with. I'm just going to brush it off on the side of the mirror a little bit, tap a couple times in that shimmer, and put a little bit of it right there too, because I really like the way that glowy blush looks. Because the rest of the face is orange, I have this little baby sample size of the Fenty Beauty Killawatt highlighter, which is in Hustla Baby, and it looks like that. It's like a nice peachy orange. So I'm going to put that for my highlighter today. I'm accidentally doing exactly what Mary asked me to do again, which was do my whole face with one color. We're doing it with orange apparently. I said I would do it with pink, but orange it is. She did want me to incorporate orange into my brows too, so maybe I can do soap brows and then put some orange powder through them. Let's see how this works. And if you're someone like me who has really small little baby lashes and you have a hard time putting mascara on without getting it onto your actual eyelids, my best tip for you, hold your mirror down like under your chin, look down at yourself into the mirror, And then because your eyes are essentially lowered, your lashes won't be just getting pushed straight up against your lids as you apply your mascara. But if you do get mascara on your lids, let the mascara's little smudge dry completely, and then take a little Q-tip and you can just kind of like rub it off very gently, and it won't take off the makeup underneath. If you do it with your mascara still wet, it will just smudge everywhere and you'll ruin your makeup. Or sometimes if I don't feel like getting a Q-tip, what I'll do, if it's on my lid, I will just put whatever shadow I had there. If it's a shimmer, you can kind of just put a little dot of it more on there, and it'll usually cover it up depending on what kind of color you're using, of course. Because I don't have an orange liner, otherwise I would put an orange liner on my waterline. I'm gonna take Marigold from the rawbeautykristi and Colourpop collab, which is just a nice kind of mustard yellow, and put that on my waterline. What I'm curious about is, will it work if I put orange shadow in my brows? I'm gonna take this little angled brush with, let's do the darker orange from the Colourpop palette. You know what, let's take the blush color, Contortion from the Likely Makeup blush palette. And I'm gonna put that at the lower part of my brows here. Start kind of in the center and just kind of pull it out towards the tail to make this look as natural as I can. Not that it's gonna look natural, but I'm just kind of ruffling through my brow hairs because they're set in place with soap, so I can kind of fluff them around like this with the shadow and work that orange in there. I don't know how apparent this is going to be, but it might just be a little more subtle, but it's kind of fun. I'm almost going backwards against my hair growth just to get that color underneath the hairs. This would work fine with your regular brow powder too if you wanted to get a little more color coverage under your hairs when you're brushing them up. Because after I'm done putting the powder through, I've been able to place them back where I want them. So if you're somebody who has a little bit of a sparser brow but you still want to try soap brows, you can, and just put your powder down underneath. Because I've tried putting powder before I put soap in just to see, because I like to experiment, and it was weird because it, like, the pigment kind of got pulled up as I brushed them up, which it was not fun. But so far this is working fine. For the front portion of my brows, because they're a little more sparse, I'm going to take the product on my brush and hold it with the longer pointed end down and just kind of flick up and then blend those little flicks. And I'm just going to take this clean spoolie, that's my kind of backup spoolie for my soap brows, and brush my brows back up into place just to make sure all the hairs are where I wanted them to be without adding any more product or disrupting the color I put down. Now I have to have a dig through my lip products and see if I have an orange lip, because I don't know that I do. Yeah, I have the Colourpop and Disney Villains Cruella lipstick, which is like an orangey bright red. So let's put that on and see how I feel about it. I think just for fun, I'm gonna put the Tower 28 Gloss in Fire on top. It's just an orange, like a very sheer orange gloss. That Colourpop lipstick is pretty, but it's very soft. I could see it being really messy if you wore it for anything other than sitting around your house like I do. Like, I definitely would not put a mask on or anything on top of that Colourpop lipstick. I'm gonna take my big fluffy blending brush again and just run across the top one more time. And I think that's it. I can take some photos of this because I really like how it turned out. And then after I take the photos, I'm gonna put some liquid liner on because I haven't used a liquid liner in forever, and I got this as a gift with purchase from Clinique when I bought some moisturizer. And because I haven't used a liquid liner in forever, I don't want to risk it and screw this up royally. So anyway, this is my monochromatic orange look that I didn't mean to be this monochromatic, but here we are.